Midnight fog settled across the hidden valley, swallowing the world in velvet silence. Jarek's calloused hands traced lines in a block of obsidian. He never expected much from life, just enough silver to eat and stone to shape, that is until he had stumbled upon the tree. He remembered the moment clearly, the dawn sun breaking over jagged peaks, casting light upon roots winding out of a small hillside. In its crown, opaque fruits hung like glass baubles. Out of curiosity, Jarek plucked one, rough under his thumb. He pocketed it, thinking it little more than a curiosity. By candlelight that evening, he watched the fruit's skin melt away, revealing a core that glittered in countless colors. He'd made enough headstones and rosette windows to know a precious gem when he saw one. He told no one. Each night, he returned, collecting more, hiding his hoard in a loose stone beneath his modest workshop. But nothing so marvelous stays hidden. Rumors trickled through the valley. Jewels sprouting from dirt, boys whispered at the tavern's hearth. Greed glimmered in strangers' eyes as unfamiliar boots pressed into the mud. One night, as Jarek hunched over his growing pile of gems, a knock hammered at his door. He froze. A faint voice seeped in. "We know about the orchard." Jarek hesitated, heart rattling. "Who's there?" There was a pause, then a woman's voice replied, low and urgent. "Let me in. They're coming. People who will tear this valley apart for what you found. You don't know what they're capable of. But I do." He opened the door a crack. Standing there was a stranger, hood drawn low, sapphire eyes glinting. "Do you want to save the orchard or see it destroyed? Decide quickly. They're close." Jarek's breath caught. The weight of the orchard's secret pressed in. Did he trust her? Outside, other footsteps crunched in the mist. Jarek made his choice. Jarek pulled the stranger inside and slammed the door. His fingers trembled as he dropped the latch. "Who are you?" he whispered, the sound nearly swallowed by the thudding boots echoing around his home. "My name's Lyra," she said, "and you don't want them finding you with those gems." She darted to his workbench, swept the gleaming stones into a leather satchel, and shot him a sharp look. "You're lucky I got to you first." "Why? Who are they?" "They call themselves the Guild of Veils. They guard magical secrets for a price, and if you don't cooperate, they'll make you disappear. The orchard's magic is ancient and very dangerous in the wrong hands." A muffled argument broke out beyond the shutters, growing louder, angrier. Jarek's fists tightened. Part of him wanted to yell at Lyra for meddling, but another part, the lonelier, more desperate part, clung to her every word. "What does the guild want?" "They want to control the orchard. Maybe destroy it. Maybe use it for themselves. Doesn't matter. Once they have it, you and your valley are finished." A sudden banging rattled the front door. "Open up, stonemason," growled a hard voice. "We know you're hiding something." Lyra's gaze burned. "Trust me or don't, but running is your only chance. Tonight, I know a way out." Jarek's world shrank to this tiny room and the stranger in it. Sounds from outside made it clear. He had no time left. Swallowing hard, he nodded. "Show me." In a flurry of whispers, Lyra led him out a side window and into the mist-shrouded night. As they dodged torchlight and angry shouts, Jarek cast one last look at his home. Behind him, the guild splintered his door. Ahead, the valley loomed wide and secretive, his fate entwined with a tree that refused to stay hidden. He didn't know if he was running to protect the orchard or himself, but for the first time, he wasn't running alone. The torchlight faded behind them as Lyra and Jarek moved into the dense thickets at the valley's edge. Above, the sky broke open with a light rain, the droplets turning the air cold and sharp. Jarek's lungs burned, but Lyra kept him moving, ducking under twisted branches and vaulting over slick stones. "Where are we going?" Jarek hissed, casting nervous glances behind. Lyra didn't slow. "Somewhere safe. The orchard has ancient roots and older protectors. If you want to keep those gems, you'll need more than a locked door." Their path veered into a hollow ringed with standing stones. Here the rain seemed to stop, the air humming faintly. Lyra knelt and pressed her palm to the moss. "What are you doing?" Jarek asked, fidgeting with the leather satchel. Suddenly, blue light spilled from Lyra's hand, racing around the stones. The standing stones shivered, their surfaces rippling like water. Jarek stumbled backward, heart pounding. For a moment he forgot the chase, forgot even the orchard, as the stones revealed faint images inside. A glittering tree, countless hands reaching for its branches, and finally a shadow swallowing the light. A voice old as the earth resonated. Will you protect the orchard, or let greed destroy it as before? Jarek's skin prickled. What was that? He whispered urgently. Lyra rose, her restraint fraying. The valley's spirits. They've watched over the orchard for generations, but each time someone discovers it, things go wrong. Wars, betrayal, madness. The guild isn't the first, and they won't be the last. Jarek's hands balled into fists. Why me? I'm just a stonemason. Lyra's eyes softened. Maybe that's why, Jarek. Maybe the orchard needs someone ordinary, someone who can leave their mark by what they build, not what they take. Before he could reply, a scream echoed from somewhere deeper in the valley. One of the guild had stumbled into something it couldn't handle. Lyra and Jarek exchanged a glance. The orchard's magic is waking, Lyra breathed. If we're going to save it, or anyone, we have to move now. And as the rain began again, Jarek realized, tonight the valley was full of more than men hunting gems. Something ancient and perilous had also risen, and the orchard's future would be written by what he chose to do next. They moved quickly through the soaked ferns and moss, guided by the faint blue glow that lingered on Lyra's fingers. Thunder rumbled in the distant mountains as the screams faded, replaced by an eerie stillness. Have you ever seen the spirits before? Jarek asked, keeping close behind. Only once, Lyra replied, voice steady but quiet. When I was a child, my mother brought me to the orchard so I'd learn not to touch its fruit. She knew what it could do. Some people lose themselves to greed, others to the orchard's magic. They reached a split in the trail. Lyra crouched, eyes narrowed as she read the tracks. The guild is spreading out. Some are after us, others are heading for the orchard itself. Jarek frowned, clutching the satchel of gems tight against his chest. They won't stop, will they? Not until they have every last stone. No, Lyra said, but there's another way. The spirits can bind the orchard, hide it again. But it means making a promise. To protect, not profit. If you agree, there's no turning back. A distant whoop split the quiet and the pounding of boots echoed closer. Jarek looked at the glowing stones and then back at his calloused hands. I came here to work and to live, but I see now the valley needs more. I'm willing if you help. Lyra nodded, respect flickering in her pale eyes. Then let's draw them away from the orchard while we can. She pulled a polished mirror from her cloak and held it to the mist. Its surface shimmered, rippling until Jarek caught glimpses of the orchard, now swirling with unnatural shadows. Silhouetted figures darted between the crystalline branches, guild hunters moving quietly, knives out. Can you distract them? Jarek asked, voice trembling. A brief grin flashed across Lyra's lips. Watch and learn. She pressed a flower against the glass and whispered something in a tongue. Jarek couldn't understand. Light erupted from the mirror, splitting the fog and drawing a chorus of shouted curses. The guild scattered, chasing the phantom lights deeper into the valley, away from the orchard's heart. Jarek's awe was cut short when a branch snapped behind him. He spun, raising a gem defensively, just in time to see a wild-eyed boy with a guild sigil round his neck leap at him with a knife. Jarek barely dodged, stumbling over a slick root. The boy hissed, "Give me the gems!" Lyra was there in a heartbeat, pulling Jarek to his feet. "Keep running!" she shouted as she flung a dazzling crystal into the mud, sending up a blinding flash. Together, they fled, the orchard's magic thickening, the air vibrating with every beat of their feet. And somewhere, beneath the land itself, the ancient spirits waited for the stonemason's next move. Dawn struggled over the horizon as Lyra and Jarek crashed into a thicket of elderberry, hearts thundering in their chests. Far behind, the guild boys' shouts faded into uneasy silence. Jarek's knees ached, but adrenaline pushed him onward. At last, Lyra slowed. "We'll rest here. They're after the decoys, but not for long." She handed Jarek a flask of water. "You okay?" Jarek nodded, rubbing his bruised shoulder. "I've cut stone for a living. Never had to run for it, but I'm all right." He eyed Lyra, curiosity and gratitude mingling. "You know magic. Really know it. How?" Lyra shrugged. "My family has guarded secrets like the orchard for generations. I left the guild years ago when I realized they cared more for power than protection. My mother taught me to respect the orchard's magic, not bend it." Jarek considered her words, feeling the weight of the satchel. "You could have taken the gems and run. Why risk helping me?" She looked at him for a long moment. "Because you saw the orchard's beauty before its riches. That's rare. If anyone can help end this cycle, it's you. Jarek fell silent, staring at the shimmer of crystal within the bag. He remembered his father's words. Stone can be shaped into anything, but it takes wisdom to know what should be built. Their quiet was shattered when the ground trembled, roots writhing beneath the earth. Shadows snaked through the moss, the orchard's magic surging in distress. Lyra leaped up, panic flashing in her eyes. They're trying to cut into the roots. If the orchard feels threatened, it'll unleash its full power, not just illusions, but curses. Jarek stood, resolve hardening. Then we don't run any longer. Show me how to reach the spirits. I need to speak to them. I need to make my promise. Lyra's lips curved into a sad smile. There's no turning back after this. Are you certain? He nodded. Yes. For the valley, and for everyone who might come after. With a final glance toward the orchard's distant glow, Lyra led him through a hidden path winding between ancient stones. Each step forward felt heavier, the air taut with magic and the weight of every choice they'd made. The sparks of something new, courage, hope, flared in Jarek's chest. The orchard wasn't just a secret anymore, it was a promise. And Jarek was ready to make his stone teeth, older than any tale, circled the orchard's heart. Lyra and Jarek stepped between the mossy monoliths where dawn light danced through a haze of fractured color. The air pulsed steadily, like a living heartbeat. Stand still, Lyra whispered. She pressed Jarek's hand to the earth and lowered her own beside it. The soil was warm to his touch, the orchard's roots whispering just beneath. Call to them, Jarek. Speak truth and promise. The spirits will judge. Jarek swallowed, nerves jangling. He shut his eyes, focusing on the orchard's magic, its wild beauty and dangerous potential. He spoke. I was alone when I found these stones. I thought of fortune, but now I see. This orchard is part of the land, older than any of us. My promise, I will shape my life to protect what matters, not just what dazzles. I will guard the orchard's secret and share only wisdom, not temptation. I ask for strength, for guidance, and forgiveness for what I've already set loose. For a breathless moment, nothing happened. Then roots erupted from the earth, spiraling around Jarek's wrists and ankles, not in pain, but in communion. Crystalline light spilled up through the soil, and the standing stones groaned with memory. Mist wove between their shapes, coalescing into shimmering figures, spirits shaped like the first orchard keepers, eyes bright with tears and hope. Lyra stepped back, leaving Jarek alone in the radiant circle. The largest spirit bent close. Its voice rumbled like distant thunder. Many have come, fueled by hunger and fear. Few ask for forgiveness. Fewer still promise protection. Jarek barely managed. I want to learn, to be better. The spirit nodded. You may, if you stand true when tested. Suddenly, a jolt of pain flickered along Jarek's spine. Flashes of the guild clashing with the orchard's defenses, shadows twisting into monstrous shapes, the valley teetering on the edge of disaster. Lyra caught him as the vision faded. The spirits accept you, Jarek. The orchard's fate is yours to guide. He staggered, humbled, transformed. The world felt both heavier and lighter. I can't do this alone. You won't, Lyra assured. But now we must face the guild, as orchard keepers, not fugitives. The real test begins. Together they set off toward the orchard's edge, the spirits watching, the power of centuries flowing through Jarek's every step. He felt the change inside him, fear tinged with resolve. The valley's fate had shifted, but what price would he pay for this promise? The orchard glimmered in the weak light of morning, every crystal fruit pulsing and shifting, as if the trees themselves were drawing breath. Jarek and Lyra slipped between trunks that hummed with hidden power, shadows stretching from every limb, and the ghostly echo of ancient voices in the rustle of their leaves. In the clearing beyond, the guild was waiting. 3 of them, cloaked in black, stood over another stone, the orchard's heart, driven half into the ground. The 4th, the wild-eyed boy from before, nursed a shallow cut. He glared when he spotted Jarek and Lyra. One of the cloaked figures stepped forward, her face carved from stone and sharp with purpose. You don't know what you're dealing with, she snapped. The orchard is a menace. Too much power for the living or the dead. Hand over the satchel, stonemason. Jarek's resolve was tested with every heartbeat. He thought of his promise, of the spirits, trust, and the pain the orchard could inflict if mishandled. For a moment, fear nearly overwhelmed him. Lyra spoke, voice calm but unwavering. Jarek is the orchard's new keeper. The spirits chose him. You cannot force their power. The guild leader sneered. We can bend it or break him. Jarek took a trembling breath. No, you'll get nothing from me. The orchard isn't a weapon or a prize. I made a promise and I plan to keep it. The guild surged forward. Lyra raised her arms, drawing a line in the air with her fingers, and the crystal trees responded. Roots lashed at the guild's boots, branches tangled about arms. The air pulsed with raw magic. The wild-eyed boy shrieked, but the guild leader wrenched free, slashing at the roots with a knife made of gleaming black glass. Jarek locked eyes with her as the orchard's defenses flickered, fury meeting regret. He stepped forward, and the spirits glimmered at the edge of sight. Everyone who's tried to exploit the orchard has fallen, he said quietly. But we can end this. Lay down your weapons and leave the valley. Let the healing begin. She hesitated, just for a breath, and the orchard's magic seemed to pulse, gentle and waiting. But before she could respond, a new tremor shook the ground. Crystals along the branches cracked and shrieked as a surge of older, darker energy rolled through the trees. The orchard was reaching the end of its patience. Lyra grabbed Jarek's arm. You have to command it, Jarek. The spirits are listening, but so is everything else. If you hesitate now, the orchard's wrath will consume us all. Jarek steadied himself, his doubt melting into a flicker of new strength. In his voice, the promise of unity and mercy rang out. Stand down. No more wounds, no more greed. Let this place be sanctuary, or let it return to dust. The orchard's fate hung in the balance, its magic, the guild's ambition, and the lives of everyone in the valley, all on the edge of one choice. Time seemed to fracture in the orchard's heart. Every crystal branch and root vibrated with the force of Jarek's ultimatum. For a second, even the guild hesitated, unsure if their next breath would bring riches or ruin. The wild-eyed boy was the first to break, dropping his blade and covering his ears as the orchard's song grew shrill. He stumbled back, weeping as a vine gently nudged him toward the edge of the grove. Lyra met Jarek's gaze, her encouragement silent but fierce. The guild leader, torn between pride and fear, spat, You'd trust a stonemason over centuries of wisdom? Jarek stood tall, both hands open and empty. Your wisdom built cages. Mine wants to build bridges. It's not too late. Choose to walk away. A second tremor cracked the ground. This time the orchard's branches pulled tight, every fruit glowing with potential energy. The spirits shimmered behind Jarek, taking shape in the fog, old keepers, children and elders, all watching the present with anguish and hope. Lyra's voice rang out. Please, the orchard has shown mercy tonight. Accept defeat with dignity. At last the guild leader's mask slipped. Her jaw trembled as she weighed her dwindling options. As the crystal light crept closer, she sheathed her black glass knife and raised her hands in surrender. We go, but you can't stop the world from searching for this place again. And if you fail, stonemason, its curse will be on us all. One by one, bruised and shaken, the guild retreated into the valley mist. The trees eased their grip, the orchard's howling magic quieting but not fading. Around Jarek and Lyra, the roots subsided, leaving only the low, mournful hum of ancient spirits. As dawn broke above the mountain, Lyra placed a gentle hand on Jarek's shoulder. His whole body trembled, not just from fear, but from the immensity of what had just happened. Do you think it's over? He whispered. Lyra shook her head. No, the orchard will always be at risk. That's the curse and the blessing of power this great. Jarek sighed, new lines of responsibility etched deep across his face. Then I need to learn, to lead, maybe not alone. The spirits circled him, one touching his brow. You must root your promise with action. The orchard has survived many storms, but it grows strongest when tended with honest hands. Jarek nodded, feeling the reality settle in his bones. The guild was gone for now. But the world was big, and word always found its way back. With Lyra and the spirits beside him, he turned his mind to what came next. The real work of keeping a living magic safe in a world hungry for miracles, and the hope that he could grow into the keeper the orchard needed. The days rolled into restless weeks. The guild's retreat left a silence in the valley that felt brittle, as though a single misstep could shatter it all. Jarek worked tirelessly in the orchard, pruning the crystal fruit before it ripened, whispering promises to the roots, and learning the old stories from the spirits. Lyra remained at his side, teaching him the secret ways of tending magic, binding stray enchantments, calming restless roots, and weaving protective wards that shimmered faintly by moonlight. More than once, wanderers passed near the valley's threshold, drawn by tales of glittering wonders. Jarek, with a steady heart and newfound wisdom, led them away, offering hospitality and redirecting their curiosity toward the valley's ordinary beauty. Each success grew his confidence, but every close call was a reminder. One mistake, and the world would descend upon them again. One evening, as dusk painted the valley in violet shadows, the spirits gathered around Jarek. Their voices, now familiar, were grave. Other hunters will come. Secrets like these are never forgotten for long. Jarek faced them, eyes clear and shoulders straight. Then I'll prepare, not with weapons but with wisdom. The orchard's magic isn't for hoarding, it's for healing this land, for strengthening its people. The world has enough curses, I'd rather offer hope. Lyra nodded, pride and worry mingling in her expression. But hope is dangerous too. If you choose to share, word will spread faster and farther than ever. Are you strong enough for the storm that will bring? Jarek hesitated. In his mind, he saw lines of travelers at his doors, hands outstretched with needs and ambitions, not only for riches, but for miracles, cures, power. And he saw the orchard, delicate and determined, longing not to be feared or hidden, but cared for. He took a deep breath. I'll share only with those who deserve it, who can be trusted to honor the land, not take from it. That's the promise I'll keep. A hush fell over the grove, broken only by the wind through branches and the glint of the first star. Lyra touched his arm. Then let's begin. If the world must come, we will teach it to come gently. But as they worked through that night, weaving stronger protections, neither saw the hungry eyes watching from the mountains. A new shadow, unfamiliar and patient, gathering strength. The next dawn would bring the true test, not just of Jarek's strength, but of the world's capacity for mercy, envy, and change. The orchard's fate and perhaps the valley's soul hung in the balance. The orchard shimmered with dawn, every crystal fruit flashing like a promise against the gathering clouds. Jarek stood at the heart of the grove, enclosed by Lyra's protective wards, his hands pressed to the oldest tree's bark. He could feel the ripple of new magic, taut, waiting. The spirits were silent, watchful, knowing this was the most crucial moment yet. Lyra came to his side, her eyes shadowed with sleepless worry. "They're here," she whispered, nodding toward the mountain ridge. Shapes moved in the mist, more organized than guild hunters, more desperate than mere fortune seekers. Dozens of them, carrying banners, strange tools, even books of spells and prayers. Some sought healing, others power. Some came to worship, others to plunder. Jarek wrapped his arms tighter around the satchel of gems. The world had finally come, just as he feared. He faced Lyra, voice trembling but resolute. "If I share too much, we lose the orchard. If I share nothing, the valley becomes a battlefield again." Lyra searched his face for doubt and found only resolve. "Then show them a better way, Jarek, or at least begin it." He strode to the edge of the orchard as the crowd pressed closer. Raising a single gem, he called out, "This place is alive. Its gifts are for the worthy, the greedy, the violent, the careless. Your hands will find nothing but pain here. The orchard chooses who may share its blessings." An old woman limped forward, speaking for many. "And who decides who is worthy?" Jarek met her gaze, heart wide open. Only those who value wisdom and care above wealth. Only those who bring something back to the land. Murmurs swept through the crowd. Some left, disappointed. Others remained, listening. A desperate mother pleaded for healing. A scholar begged for insight into the orchard's lore. For each, Jarek weighed compassion against risk, shaping the orchard's blessings through whispered negotiations with the spirits themselves. Some would leave with crystals that cured illness or seeded barren fields. Others left empty-handed, but changed by the honesty of their failure. Each encounter demanded more of Jarek: patience, discernment, and the courage to refuse old patterns. As the sun rose, Lyra stood beside him and the spirits ringed them both, visible now to all. In their glow, the crowd saw not just magic, but the cost of harmony. They stayed at the orchard's heart until dusk, listening, judging, teaching. In the end, the lines thinned, suspicion replaced by a kind of reverence. The world hadn't changed overnight, but it had begun to listen. Sometimes that was enough. As the crowd scattered and the orchard settled, Lyra turned to Jarek. "You did what no one before you could. Jarek, exhausted but at peace, let the satchel of gems fall to the grass. Not alone, Lyra, and not forever. The orchard will always need a keeper and a friend. The spirits whispered in the dusk, a song of thanks and warning. Jarek listened and understood. The orchard's story would never truly end. But for now, guided by promise, strengthened by trials, and watched over by spirit and friend alike, he finally knew what it meant to belong.